Most people believe that money is the starting point. But Jim Rohn taught something different. Money is merely a reflection. It does not change who you are. It reveals it. True enrichment does not begin in the bank account. It begins in the way you behave when no one is watching. It begins with the silent commitments you honor with yourself. It begins with the discipline you practice, even when there is no immediate reward. People without discipline ask for quick results. Disciplined people build inevitable results. The average mind seeks shortcuts. The disciplined mind builds foundations. And the difference between these two mindsets defines completely different destinies. Jim Rohn used to say that success is something you attract by the person you become. This means that before thinking about earning more, you need to become more responsible, more conscious, more committed. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is structure. It is that which sustains growth when motivation fails. Because motivation is unstable, but discipline is reliable. Without discipline, money leaks away. Without discipline, opportunities are lost. Without discipline, even natural talents are wasted. Personal enrichment begins when you accept a simple and harsh truth. No one is coming to save you from the disorganization you tolerate. Most people try to be disciplined only when they need to be. But true discipline is not something you turn on and off. It is identity. Jim Rohn taught that it is not the big events that change a life, but the small decisions repeated daily. The problem is that many underestimate the power of the small. Discipline manifests in the schedules you respect, in what you consume mentally, in what you accept as a standard, in what you do even when you don't feel like it. Personal enrichment requires consistency, not sporadic intensity. A disciplined mind does not negotiate with excuses. It understands that every time you break a commitment to yourself, you weaken your own internal word. And when your word loses value to you, everything begins to crumble. Jim Rohn used to say that if you don't control your own life, someone else will. And it will almost never be for your benefit. Discipline is freedom in disguise. It feels like restriction at first, but it becomes power in the long run. Whoever develops discipline does not depend on luck, because they have created preparation. They do not depend on motivation, because they have built habit. They do not depend on validation, because they know who they are becoming. Every lack of discipline carries a price, and it never arrives immediately. Jim Rohn warned that the most dangerous error is the comfortable error, the one that seems too small to matter. That postponed decision, that neglected habit, that permissive internal dialogue. The problem is not making a mistake. The problem is repeating the mistake until it becomes identity. Financial indiscipline begins with small excesses. Emotional indiscipline begins with uncontrolled reactions. Mental indiscipline begins with unfiltered thoughts. Personal enrichment requires self-control. And self-control does not mean extreme rigidity, but constant awareness. The wealthy mind learns to pause before reacting. It learns to observe before deciding. It learns to choose what strengthens, not what merely relieves. Jim Rohn used to say that you can choose the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that one builds a future, the other destroys it. Self-control is what separates those who grow from those who merely age. When discipline becomes part of who you are, something changes silently. You begin to trust yourself more. And when you trust yourself, decisions improve. Jim Rohn taught that prosperity is not an event, it is a predictable process. If you plant discipline, you reap stability. If you plant consistency, you reap growth. If you plant responsibility, you reap freedom. Personal enrichment creates a foundation so solid that money ceases to be an emotional problem. It becomes a tool, a resource, a consequence. Disciplined people do not panic in the face of challenges. They adjust the course. They do not victimize themselves. They strengthen themselves. They do not wait for ideal conditions. They create conditions. Discipline changes everything because it changes you. And when you change, everything around you responds. True prosperity begins the moment you decide to live by a high standard, even when no one demands it of you. This is the silent path, but it is the only one that truly works. Few people understand that discipline begins before the action. It begins in the thought. Jim Rohn taught that you become what you allow to occupy your mind frequently. Undisciplined thoughts generate weak actions. Weak actions generate unstable results. The disciplined mind filters. It does not consume just any information. It does not feed on constant chaos. It does not normalize complaining, victimhood, or negativity. Personal enrichment requires mental vigilance. It requires choosing better books, better conversations, better content. Because what enters the mind today transforms into behavior tomorrow. Whoever does not govern their own mind ends up being governed by it. Most people live by reacting. They react to problems. They react to criticism. They react to frustrations. Jim Rohn used to say that maturity is learning to respond, not to react. Reaction is impulsive. Response is conscious. Emotional discipline is one of the greatest sources of silent power. When you do not react immediately, you gain clarity. When you gain clarity, you make better decisions. Personal enrichment requires emotional control, because uncontrolled emotions sabotage opportunities. The wealthy mind does not deny emotions. It observes them, manages them, and directs them. Many believe that earning more will solve everything. Jim Rohn taught the opposite. Without financial discipline, more money only amplifies the same mistakes. The problem was never the amount coming in, but the behavior with what comes in. Personal enrichment requires respect for money. Not idolatry, but responsibility. The disciplined mind knows exactly where the money goes. It plans. It reserves. It invests. It does not act on impulse. Whoever masters the small money becomes worthy of the large money. Time is the only resource that cannot be recovered. Jim Rohn used to say that you must manage the day if you want to manage your life. The undisciplined mind wastes time and then blames destiny. The disciplined mind protects its hours as it protects its future. Personal enrichment requires learning to say no. No to useless distractions. No to empty commitments. No to people who drain energy. Whoever respects their own time builds invisible wealth before the visible. There is a point where the initial enthusiasm ends, and that is where almost everyone gives up. Jim Rohn taught that success does not depend on applause, it depends on persistence. Discipline enters exactly when the excitement leaves. The wealthy mind continues even in the silence, even in anonymity, even without immediate recognition. Personal enrichment is not a spectacle. It is silent construction. Whoever learns to continue without applause becomes impossible to stop. Discipline is not cold rigidity. It is self-respect. Every time you fulfill what you promised yourself, your self-esteem strengthens. Every time you break that commitment, it weakens. Jim Rohn used to say that the greatest damage is not in the external error, but in the break of internal trust. Personal enrichment begins when you decide not to abandon yourself anymore. Discipline is the most practical form of self-love. In the beginning, discipline requires conscious effort. After a while, it becomes identity, and then it becomes destiny. Jim Rohn taught that well-formed habits do the heavy lifting for you. When discipline becomes natural, growth stops being a struggle. You start doing the right thing automatically, choosing better without effort, maintaining the standard without suffering. At this point, prosperity becomes predictable. Everything that comes from the outside can be lost. Everything that is built inside remains. Jim Rohn used to say that no one can take away your knowledge, your discipline, your vision, and your character. This is true personal enrichment. The kind that resists crises. The kind that crosses cycles, the kind that sustains any material wealth. When discipline changes you, nothing else can break you. There is a brutal difference between someone who looks disciplined and someone who actually is. The true test happens when there are no witnesses. Jim Rohn taught that character is what you do when no one is watching. It is in this invisible space that personal enrichment is decided. When you choose to study even when tired, to train even without the will, to keep your word even when you could break it, you are building something that does not appear immediately, but that governs your entire future. Discipline in the dark creates authority in the light. Most people organize their lives around comfort. The disciplined mind organizes life around growth. Jim Rohn used to say that we should not wish for life to be easier, but for us to be better. This requires giving up momentary relief in exchange for lasting progress. Personal enrichment is not born from excessive rest, it is born from well-directed effort. Whoever runs from discomfort runs from their own potential. The strong mind learns to endure the process because it understands the prize. Every person has an internal voice that makes excuses to give up. The difference is that the disciplined mind does not negotiate with that voice. Jim Rohn taught that you don't need to be cruel to yourself, but you need to be firm. Firm with your schedules. Firm with your commitments. Firm with your standards. Every time you negotiate with weakness, it comes back stronger. Every time you maintain the standard, the mind adjusts to the new level. Discipline does not argue, it executes. Indiscipline also carries a price, only it charges later. Jim Rohn used to say that we all face two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The difference is that the pain of discipline weighs ounces, while the pain of regret weighs tons. Personal enrichment requires a long-term vision. Whoever lives only for the now builds scarcity. Whoever accepts the effort today builds freedom tomorrow. The wealthy mind consciously chooses which pain it is willing to pay. There is a type of respect that does not come from rank, income, or status. It comes from posture. Jim Rohn taught that disciplined people exude credibility. They speak less, promise less, and deliver more. This coherence creates silent authority. People trust. Opportunities arise. Doors open without exaggerated effort. Personal enrichment is not about convincing anyone. It is about becoming someone impossible to ignore. Most people do not fail for lack of talent, but because of self-sabotage, procrastination, disorganization, lack of constancy. Jim Rohn taught that success is the result of small disciplines practiced daily. It is not rare big decisions, it is simple choices repeated. When you eliminate self-sabotage, growth becomes inevitable. The disciplined mind does not betray itself. In the beginning, discipline requires energy. Later, it saves energy. Jim Rohn used to say that well-built habits do the heavy lifting for you. What once required strength becomes automatic. You no longer fight to maintain focus. You no longer negotiate with laziness. You no longer depend on motivation. You simply do. At this point, personal enrichment stops being a goal and becomes a consequence. Nothing external is sustained without an internal base. Jim Rohn was clear, if you grow as a person, everything grows with you. When the mind strengthens, the money follows. When character aligns, opportunities appear. When discipline consolidates, success stabilizes. This is the enrichment that does not depend on luck. It depends on who you have become. There is a decisive moment in the life of every strong man and woman. It is the moment they stop blaming the world. Jim Rohn taught that the greatest leap in growth happens when you understand that everything improves when you improve. It is not the market, it is not politics, it is not the past. As long as you outsource responsibility, you hand over power. When you take total responsibility, you regain control. Personal enrichment begins when you abandon excuses and take the lead. Undisciplined people explain too much. Strong people adjust their behavior and move on. Jim Rohn used to say that results speak louder than justifications. Those who live by explaining themselves are usually trying to convince themselves. The disciplined mind does not waste energy trying to be understood. It invests energy in becoming better. You do not owe explanations to the world. You owe coherence to yourself. Every path of true growth passes through solitude. Not everyone can endure it. Jim Rohn taught that, to grow, sometimes it is necessary to move away from the noise, the opinions, and the distractions. Solitude is not punishment, it is preparation. It is in the silence that you find yourself again. It is in strategic isolation that vision strengthens. Personal enrichment requires the courage to walk alone for a while. Most people live below their own potential because they accept low standards. The disciplined mind does not accept them. Jim Rohn used to say that you cannot change your destiny without changing your standards. Standards of thought, behavior, and commitment. You do not do what is convenient. You do what is right. High standards build internal and external respect. Dreaming is comfortable. Deciding is uncomfortable. Jim Rohn taught that a true decision eliminates options. When you decide, you close doors to mediocrity. Personal enrichment is not born from desire. It is born from decisions sustained by discipline. Those who decide do not go back every week. Those who decide adjust the course, but they follow through. Many believe that discipline binds. In truth, it sets you free. Jim Rohn used to say that without discipline you become a slave to impulse, laziness, and emotion. With discipline, you choose. Freedom is not doing what you want. Freedom is being able to do what needs to be done. The wealthy mind understands this early. Comparison is poison for the disciplined mind. Every path has its own rhythm. Jim Rohn taught that success is measurable personal progress. It is not a race against others, it is a commitment to one's own evolution. When you stop comparing yourself, your energy concentrates. When your energy concentrates, growth accelerates. Personal enrichment requires focus on your own process. You do not grow alone, but you also do not grow with just anyone. Jim Rohn used to say that you are the average of the people you spend time with. The disciplined mind chooses environments, conversations, and companions with criteria, not out of arrogance, but for mental survival. The right environments multiply discipline. The wrong environments drain purpose. Fear does not disappear. It is managed. Jim Rohn taught that courage is not the absence of fear, it is action in spite of it. Discipline prevents fear from turning into paralysis. You act with apprehension, but you act. And each action reduces the power of fear. The disciplined mind does not wait for confidence, it builds it. There is a point where discipline solidifies. At that point, you no longer depend on circumstances. Jim Rohn used to say that when self-discipline becomes identity, success becomes inevitable. You no longer need to fight against yourself. You act in alignment. That is the day you become rare. And the world always respects what is rare.